I'm your host, Taz Dean. Now, people, we got a special one here for y'all. I mean, we talk about Dunbar, and sometimes we just start from mugs and it. Well, we gotta bring it back a little bit, people. We gotta bring it back. I like to talk about the foundation because Dunbar was that before mugs and them. And King, can you speak your name?
My name is Dwayne Hot Dog Wallace.
Yes. Listen, I'm humble and I'm thankful for you joining
Before you ever make it.
platform.
Where I'm from, niggas gon'
Appreciate
slide
it.
before
And
they
I'm pretty sure
motivate you.
Bars
I
will
come from
appreciate
a
it
place they
also.
don't salute you, niggas
Man,
so
I'm glad to be here, man.
I come from a place where niggas grow up round looking famous. Don't want no money, niggas trying to duck the murder rate. Baltimore, bitch, tell me if you heard a place. Place like this, nigga get zipped a couple times a day. Yeah, you know you can't be more, just trying to find a way. You been trapping there, your kitty like a dime away. Some been growing, I can't feed them on the workers. I just pop some extra, trying to help me with my feelings. Dummy need a perfect stomach, hurt me, say ill. This where I'm from, niggas shooting at children. Really the niggas that shouldn't be children. And I can honestly say I don't feel it, but to be honest, I really don't feel it. Shake back, roll them damn dice. Young rats, living like get this bitch twice. Bitch where I'm from, niggas cut up on bikes. You a pistol to take niggas life. So he won't do it, but you know he might. Niggas be shy. I come from a place where if you great, they gon' forever hate you.
It's
If
definitely
you strong, a bunch of weak niggas gon' try to break. Where I'm from, you probably die before you ever make. Where I'm from, niggas gon' slide before they motivate. I come from a place they don't salute you, niggas soldier hate. I come from a place where niggas grow up round looking famous. Don't want no money, niggas trying to duck the murder rate. Baltimore, bitch, tell me if you heard a place. In my city, we got bodies in the hospital. And everybody I know grew up with no fathers. Niggas dumb and they don't give a fuck about Harvard. Dumb nigga, I laugh so it be hard to try to think smart. Niggas stuck in the jail, stuck and they can't pay your bill. Oh, you hoping your nigga don't tell? The life should've went by myself. I can read the streets just like a book, is what I read from. Really wasting time if you ain't making fed money. And they coming in with a raid, they ain't clean the place. What the fuck is you doing out here? You can't make sure your people straight. Niggas been away, living their life on the way. I wake up, I gotta get paid. Sunny day might be the day. I come from a place where if you great, they gon' forever hate you. But if you strong, a bunch of weak niggas gon' try to break. Where I'm from, you probably die before you ever make. Where I'm from, niggas gon' slide before they motivate. I come from a place they don't salute you, niggas soldier hate. I come from a place where niggas grow up round looking famous. Don't want no money, niggas trying to duck the murder rate. Baltimore, bitch, tell me if you heard a place. I come from a place where if you great, they gon' forever hate you. If you strong. Bitch, tell me if you heard a place. If you great, they gon' forever hate you. If you strong, a bunch of weak niggas gon' try to break. Where I'm from, you probably die before you ever make. Where I'm from, niggas gon' slide before they motivate. I come from a place they don't salute you, niggas soldier hate. I come from a place where niggas grow up round looking famous. Don't want no money, niggas trying to duck the murder rate. Baltimore, bitch, tell me if you heard a place.
different atmosphere when you get from city to Dunbar. Like, but I want let's talk about the city team and y'all accomplishments.
I mean, I bet City, of course, I was averaging, some good numbers in my sophomore year. And we had a pretty good team. But we could never beat, the Dunbars and the Lake Cliftons and stuff. But we never played Lake Clifton, I don't believe, when I got to City. But we would never could beat Dunbar. So my junior year, I can remember, and I was joking with my brother about it, that they came up to the castle, because that's what we used to call it, the castle.
Still to this day.
Right. And we played in this little box gym.
Mm-hmm.
Not like they have it now, but it was a box gym, had stands on one side and a wall on the other side. And we beat them. And it was just like, really, really hyped and everything. And so we got over Morgan to play them. Of course, that was a different story.
Now, but my fault. Go ahead. Continue.
But the thing is that I can say that when I was at these other schools, Lake Clifton and City, I can say that I beat Dunbar. The team I was on.
Yeah. Now, people, Dwayne ain't gonna listen. Dwayne, he gonna be a little modest about himself, right? He wasn't just no regular player. And what I mean by that is he made the All Metros. He got respect from his peers, and he played. Telling people about the neighborhood, the traveling, to go to court in the summertime, playing against each other. Can you tell the people that before we get to Dunbar?
Well, you know what? Back then, it wasn't as crazy as it is now. I mean, we can go anywhere, east side, west side, South Baltimore, whatever case may be, and play. Because I mean, we had that respect, and we respected the guys that we played against, and it was always a battle. Especially when we played against Johnny and Howard. Johnny and Howard was a team that had the Leslie brothers, they had Dr. Andre Bunley, they had Ricky Lawson, they had Smitty, left hand Smitty, they had George Powell. I mean, they had a really good team. And so when we would play them, especially during the BNBL era, we would play them over at Lake Clifton. I mean, I'm talking about wall to wall people. It was like more that you can bear. Yeah. The fire marshal probably would have shut us down during that time. But it was just some completely bad. And in fact, Tony Guy played with that team too.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was, but we had a pretty good team too. We had guys like myself, James Joyce. We had Lance Hill. We had Boo Mayo, who was 6'9", like 260. We had Michael Sharp. We had a Kevin Brisbane. I could go on and on and on. We had a pretty good team too. So it was just a epic battle when we played against these guys because we knew that we had to come with our A game.
Yeah. Now, people. Now I gotta ask you the question: how you end up transferring from City to go down Dunbar? How did that conversation how that happen?
Well, as I said before, the thing was that I've always wanted to go to Dunbar because that was my choice from leaving from Lombard. And my brother, we used to talk about all the time about, it would be nice for me and him to play with each other instead of against each other. And so somehow that it didn't materialize. So my best friend who was at City at the time, James Joyce, right? He was my best friend. Plus we was on the same team. Cause we got to remember, we played against him. I played against him at 13-0 when we beat Madison, and we were friends then. And so when I joined the Madison team, we became even more friends, but better friends. And so he transferred. I didn't know he was a transfer because I had gotten a summer job over at Loyola. My coach had got me a summer job. And I thought that, coming back next year, we was going to be a really, really good team. Mm-hmm. So I found out that summer he transferred. Okay. And so because we were so close, I was like, you know what? I'm coming down with you too. So the rest is history. I mean, it was something that, we were just good friends, and I wanted to, be, a part of that tradition, and give an opportunity to be able to explore, bigger and better things. Because at that time, if you went to Dunbar, I don't care if you was the last man on the bench, you would get a scholarship.
Right.
And that's the way it was. Although I found out years later that Pitt was recruiting me ever since I was a sophomore at City.
Wow.
Right. I didn't find this out until I found the card because of course, coaches can't talk to you while underclassmen.
Right. They just
And I
send
found
questionnaires and stuff
right,
like that.
right, and I found this card that had Bob Hill, who used to coach the Indiana Pacers at the after he left Pitt, was recruiting me. In fact, Pitt was recruiting not only myself, he was recruiting Tony Guy too.
Mm.
But he chose to go to Kansas because we went on a recruiting trip, Tony Guy and myself.
Hold on. We can get the Pitt. We can get the Pitt because we still gotta get the Dunbar. We had Dunbar.
Okay.
We
So
Pitt.
okay. So like I said, I always wanted to be a poet. Bled the colors. I enjoyed watching the games. In fact, what really led me to not only just my brother, but you had the Skip Wise, you had the Donnie Joys, you had Timmy Green. I watched them guys play when I was playing 15 under. I was playing 18 under.
Okay.
And I used to watch them guys play, and I knew that Dunbar had, I like the uniforms.
Yeah.
And we were the first. And in fact, they were the first team that ever had a shoe contract.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Beta.
Yeah.
At the time, they were like white with the gold strip or white with the burgundy strip.
Man, full pride. Now you down?
Wait a minute. I just learned that you went to Dunbar too.
Yeah, full pride is what I said. Full pride.
Right. Exactly.
Now, and that's why I'm asking this. That's why I'm asking you what's the difference? How you felt about? Because I transferred too. I was the person that transferred from Merrill my freshman year down to Dunbar.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole atmosphere was like night and day. And I love my guys at Merrill, but the atmosphere down with Dunbar was more so like a family. We was more so like a family. Even though we get mad at each other, you already know how it go. However, it was a different type of camaraderie down Dunbar than when I was at Merrill. So I'm asking you, did you feel what was the change you felt once you got to Dunbar? I'm talking about off the court first.
It was a support, the alumni support, the faculty. Obviously, Mr. Wade, made you feel like that you were welcome,
Right.
Because at the time, most of the players who played at Dunbar was pretty much from the Lafayette projects.
Okay.
On that surrounding area.
Right.
And I didn't think I was an outsider because, in fact, I used to go down to Lafayette Project and hang out down there, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So and play ball. So it was a little slight transition, but it was about adjustments.
Right.
And I think that I adjusted really, really well. I think that my teammates accepted me and I accepted them, and we just went on a roll.
Now you made first team all Metro your senior year. You know what I'm saying? So the adjustment that you made was quick. Can you go back to your first week of practice down Dunbar? Now, yeah. Let's talk about it. Was you nervous? Because you're gonna have to strap them up. Everybody, majority, once you get down to the team, it's gonna be a battle. I ain't talking about the people that's trying out and nothing like that. When the team was assembled, let's talk about those battles in practice.
I mean, it was an epic battle. I always tell people this, right? And I love these guys, love Muggsy, but Kosher, man, he was probably the only one that I can think of that really gave me a hard way to go because he was low to the ground. He played really good defense. Was a scrappy ball player. Excuse me, and. So was Duke, you know what I'm saying? So it was always a battle in the practices. So, I hear people, I was listening to Russ the other day on the podcast, and he was saying how they, battled in practice. And so when the game came, it was much easier because, we didn't have to beat up on each other. We can beat up on our opponents.
Right.
Like, the practice was brutal at times, and but we was well coached. We were well coached, and so the thing is that when we played other teams, it was no problem because we were beating teams 100 and something to whatever.
Yeah.
So it was just something that that Dunbar pride. I mean, when you put that jersey on, people want to you're a target.
Yeah.
And that was Mr. Wade that always told us that, hey, when you put this jersey on, you're going to be a target. So you just be mindful that when you go out there, you can't be just jobbing around. You got to go out there and play because people want to beat you.
Yeah, you can get people best shot. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
And then if they beat you, they gonna talk about it. People still talk about my losses today. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Well, you heard me say about when I was at City, we beat Dunbar, right?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
So I know that you know that what I just elaborated on, because when I was at other schools, I knew when we played Dunbar, we had to bring our best game, and so you know, and doing so, we had to strap it up. You know, and but me and my brother had this little pact, right? When we played them, I would say, "But look, I'm going to play this person, and you're going to play this person. So I'm going to get mine, you get yours." But people, you know, the crazy part about it, you know, my coach at the time, James Parker, God rest his soul, he didn't know we were brothers until someone told him.
Wow.
And he said, "Well, okay, I'll tell you what, you're going to play your brother." I said, "Oh my God." And he was like, I mean, he had a 44-inch vertical jump that could shoot the ball out. Come across half court.
Ooh. Oh,
yeah, that's how. Yeah, he definitely had that range.
Now you down Dunbar, right? You make all Metro. Y'all winning. Do you remember the games where y'all played the guys over there in DC?
Yes, we played in, I think it was called it wasn't called the Al Hammer. It was something called in DC. It was a tournament. And we played Spingarn. And that's the game I got hurt in. Yeah. I was trying to go up for a dunk, but the guy undercut me. And so, you know, I got hurt. And you know, the thing is that
that story right there, that was the story where Coach Wade took y'all, y'all ain't finished that tournament, right? Because
we finished it. Yeah, we finished it. We completed it.
Was this the same one? You had got hurt, and it was about the medical insurance. They wanted them to put, they said they wasn't insured or something.
Right. So having said that, right, and I really didn't know this at the time. When I got hurt, my teeth got knocked out, and Daryl Wade would tell you the story all the time that he had to go in, because Daryl Wade was about maybe eight years old or so. Because he used to travel with us all the time. And he would tell people that I used to he went on the bleachers, to get my teeth and put it in some water. And I took it to the hospital, put it back in. And I played the next game.
Baltimore.
You know, played the next game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I had a wire on my mouth, you know, and I played the next game because, like I said, they were my teammates and I didn't want to let them down. But yeah, so subsequently, the hospital didn't want to pay the insurance. The tournament didn't want to pay the insurance.
Right.
So what I found out was, and I can say this now, that my assistant coach, who happens to be at the game, right, made a few phone calls, and my assistant coach, who's when I was at Pitt, Cleveland Edwards, he just passed away a couple of years ago. He made a phone call, and I was able to get, you know, the surgery done and all that stuff.
Oh, that was love. That was love. Yeah. Look, they really wanted you.
Yeah, and I didn't even know who did it, but it didn't care at the time because I wanted my teeth back in my mouth.
Now, did you? Since Pitt was on you since your 10th grade year, did you attend 5-star?
I did not. I attended a camp up in Pittsburgh, I believe my junior year.
Okay.
And they had a lot of guys up there from Pittsburgh, from Ohio. I don't think it was a 5-star camp, but it was a really, and I love the camp because it takes you to different stations.
Okay.
You know, fundamental stations. And so, you know, they flew me in, you know, I stayed with, I don't know if you probably remember a guy named Billy Knight played in the ABA, ended up playing with the Indiana Pacers.
Billy Knight.
Right. I stayed with his brother, Terry Knight, who was my teammate at the time. And but yeah, it was myself and Tony Guy at the camp.
Now, was Pittsburgh your only school you was looking at, or was it any other schools?
Well, no, it's I'll tell you a real funny story this time. I was recruited by a lot of schools, Syracuse, Northline A&T, Elizabeth City, of course the local schools here, Kansas State, you know, Missouri. And I wanted to go to Missouri. Like I said, I wanted to follow my brother because he was my big brother.
Right.
And so we talked about it and everything, and I wanted to go somewhere where I could make a name for myself,
Okay.
and help build a program who, you know, really wasn't a basketball program, because if you know, back there in the early 70s, Pitt was known for football, which they still are.
Right.
You know, the Tony Dorsett.
Yeah.
And Dan Marinos and stuff like that. So, you know, I wanted to go somewhere where I could build a name for myself, and also, you know, try to catapult our university to a bigger and better conference, which they eventually they did.
Yeah.
I joined the Big East.
Now, let's talk about Pitt. Your freshman year, what was you thinking coming into your freshman year in college?
Well, the first thing I thought was, okay, you know what? I'm a high school All-American, you know, all met from Baltimore. You know, I got the swag. You know, I'm gonna go to Pitt. I'm gonna be the starting point guard, this, that, and the other. And but unbeknownst to me, when I got there, I was like, oh, it's a culture shock, because I tell you, the thing was, I had two seniors in front of me.
Okay.
And one was Pete Strickland, who went to DeMatha, and it was another guy named Wayne Williams, who went to Shinley, which was a big time school in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And so a lot of young kids don't understand that, you know, when you go to a school or university or whatever case may be, you know, you have to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be very patient. But more importantly, you have to know the system.
Yeah.
You know, I remember one time, because I've always had the flash between the legs, behind the back, and this, that, and the other, right? So one day in practice, I was, you know, I was getting it in, shaking, bake, all that stuff, right? My coach blew the whistle. He said, son, what are you doing? I said, what do you mean? He says, we don't do this here. We do the thumbs down, you know, stuff like that, right? And I'm like, yeah. You know, all the fundamentals, right? And I'm not saying that I didn't get fundamentals from Mr. Wade or William Wells, you know, but it was more of more fundamentals that I had to do, because now you're in a bigger stage.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to make the right decisions. So out of probably 30 games, I probably played about 17.
Okay. That's still good. That was good.
Well, you know what? I mean, if you know, I feel like that I'm a you know, All-American. I should be playing every game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, I never thought that I shouldn't be playing, even when I didn't play. You know, so I got a little discouraged, and I thought about coming home, you know, just saying forget about it, this, that, and the other. But like I said, I have, you know, older brothers. I had, you know, Mr. Wade. I had William Wells telling me, look, son, you know, it's an adjustment period. You got to wait your turn. Your turn is going to come. And so my sophomore year, everything just took off for me.
Now, talk to the people about. See, hey, I'm trying to pull it out of him, y'all, because like I said, he put it down on every level that he played, including Pitt. Now, if y'all ever get a chance, go on YouTube. Is the Pittsburgh Duquesne? Is it Super 8 game?
No, it's called the Eastern 8 Championship.
Eastern 8 Championship. Y'all go check that. Go check it out, and y'all can see him in action. I mean, I'm talking about he dropping it off. They ain't taking it from him. You know what I mean? Like, y'all just go check the game. Just go check the game out. So let's talk about the sophomore year. You come back for your sophomore year campaign. Your confidence, I know your confidence was high.
Well, you know what? And I had a point to prove. You know, I had a point to prove that not only to, you know, the fans, but to my coaching staff, that I could be the everyday starter.
Okay.
You know, and it was, but I had to learn how to run a team. You know, even though I had point guard experience, because I was told early on, as I was coming up, that I was going to be a point guard. Okay. You know, and that was by, you know, some like, you know, Steve Smith, his brother Tony Smith, Lou Smith, that was his brother who coached me at Johnson Square and BNBL when I was playing 18 under at one time. And everybody kept telling me, you're going to be a point guard. I'm like, man, I want to score.
Right.
You know, I wanted to be able to score and then pass it off. But when I got to Pitt, I had to, you know, I realized that I had to make an adjustment as well. The same adjustment I made when I went to Dunbar, I had to make another adjustment when I went to Pitt, because I wasn't the focal point. You know, we had other guys around me that could score too.
Right.
So, you know, with that being said, you know, somebody had to share the ball, and I would, you know, pick and choose the shots that I take. But, you know, my numbers were okay. We played an NIT. we played against our arch rival Duquesne, and I never forget this. And I'm not embarrassed to say this. Is that's why it's always good for you young kids that are listening is to work on your game, especially free throws. You know, because free throws can win a game or can lose a game. And so it's like 16,000 people in the Civic Arena, which is in Pittsburgh. We're playing Duquesne to go to the next round of the NIT, and it was a 1-on-1, and I missed it. I missed it. So after the game, you know, I mean, it was just devastating for me.
Right.
So the next day, I got into the gym and I was shooting like at least 200, 300, 400 free throws, you know, a contest. And so, you know, that's how my free throw shooting became better, because I remembered that game, and I remember like it was yesterday till this day.
Yeah. One thing about sports players, period. You remember you remember when you failed. You remember more your failures than you do your accomplishments for real. Well, I definitely get it. And you saying you had to make the transition to now ain't about me just scoring. I gotta learn how to run this team. Right. What was the coach saying to you though? What was the coach saying to you that sophomore year? Like, listen, we need you, blase blah. You know he can score. Make sure you get them, and you make sure you get everybody else involved. Then you go in and score, and then you go in and shoot. Or was it like just make sure your team involved, and then you just get it whenever you get it? How was it?
Right. One thing I learned that when you have a dominant guy like Sam Clancy that you're playing with, you know, that you have to feed him the ball to keep him happy. Because if you feed your big man, keep him happy, he'll run up down the court and get the rebounds. You know, he'll block the shots. He'll do everything for you because you're feeding him the ball. Now he knows you're looking for him. You know, and I think that as a point guard, you have to get everybody involved. Yeah, you can get your shots in, but the thing is, right, you got to be able to, you know, be a point guard that can pass first, shoot second. Right. You know, get everybody involved, get everybody happy, and you're the leader of the team. So you have to be a leader. You know, I think that's one of the things that I realized. You know, I've always been a leader, but in terms of playing that position, it was more demanding because now the focal point, because you're the one with the ball.
Right.
You know, and everybody's watching you. What you gonna do?
Man. Now let's your sophomore year in conference, what players? Give me some players that you like. Oh, I gotta strap it up.
We played against Villanova because Villanova was in our league. Villanova, Rutgers, Penn State. Of course, Duquesne, which was our arch rival, because we were like maybe 10 minutes away from Duquesne, because Duquesne was downtown Pittsburgh, and we were in Oakland, which is still Oakland. We had St. Bonaventure. In fact, Craig Shelton, the guy played at St. Bonaventure, he's from Baltimore. His father was a referee years ago. He was the man for them. Roy Sparrow, of course, who played in the NBA. You know, I didn't think he was that good, but, you know, of course, you know, other teams thought he was. I mean, the thing is that with the guys from Baltimore, and I'll say this all around Baltimore, when we go play people, we you know, always thought that we were better than the other player. Yeah, and that's the way we had to carry it. You know, we had to have that swagger, that chip on our shoulder, because no, you're not gonna get the limelight. I'm gonna get the limelight. Yeah. So that's where it was. I mean, but it was just some epic battles in college. I mean, I got a chance to travel all over, you know, experience some different things. You know, in fact, we were playing against Alabama Birmingham.
Okay.
And at the time, I don't know if you remember, Gene Bartow was a coach at UCLA, but he ended up going to Alabama Birmingham. And I was cooking them so bad that they had to put a 6'8" guy on me, right?
Yeah.
And then after the game, he says, "Son, you one hell of a player." And so that kind of like gave me the confidence, like, okay, well, this is a Hall of Fame coach telling me as a young guy that, you know, my ability, and then sky was the limit for me.
Right. Man, now at this Pitt starting to make y'all names starting to come up now. People starting to recognize y'all as a basketball, as a good basketball program. Right. By the time you left Pitt, do you remember the guys that was coming in? Do you remember the transition? Because now, because by the time I got to college, like you said, you wanted to go to a football school that you wanted to turn into a basketball. You wanted to start something. And I'm pretty sure you did, because Pittsburgh went on, they always kept a point guard after that. Always kept a solid point guard.
Right.
I mean, they coaches changed a few times, but people look at Pittsburgh like that's a basketball school too now. So
right. Yeah. I mean, I almost transferred to Vegas.
Woo.
Like my sophomore year, because my coach, as I told you before, Tim Gergridge, who was my coach at the time, my first 2 years, he left and went to Vegas with the coach with Jerry Tarkanian. So he came to my house and asked me if I wanted to transfer. But, you know, me being a guy that's, you know, want to be loyal to my teammates, you know, I said, well, I'll stay. And but it worked out for me. But, you know, unbeknownst to me, my coach, Tim Gergridge, always followed my career.
Okay.
You know, this, that, and the other. In fact, I go up there, you know, every time they have something up there, I try to go up there and support my teammates. But yeah, I mean, it was like, when I was a senior, you know, most of the guys were freshmen, so I still stay in contact with them.
Okay.
That's love. Yeah, I have one of my backcourt mates. He was playing ball in Israel, so he still lives in Israel. And I have another teammate who I talk to frequently. He lives in Ireland.
Oh, okay.
So of course, Sam Clancy came back to Pittsburgh. Now he's working in the athletic department. So I definitely talks to him on a regular basis.
Okay. Now, after Pitt, did you go and play any pro ball?
Well, I bounced around in CBA.
Okay.
You know,
how was that? Talk to us about that.
The CBA back then wasn't, you know, guys wasn't making a lot of money. You know, if you was the 12th man, you had to go out and get a job.
Okay.
And so I got married end of my freshman year at Pitt, and I had 2 children.
Oh, okay.
So I had to make a decision whether or not if I wanted to continue playing or, you know, just go ahead and say, well, get a job.
Right. No, I understand.
Yeah. And so I bounced around the CBA for a couple of years. I didn't want to go overseas. Well, I did want to go overseas, but I didn't.
Right.
You know, I was invited to go to the LA camp up there, but I declined to do so. It was just a whole lot of things going on in my head because I was like, well, I'm a father of 2.
Right.
You know, I got to make a decision whether or not if I want to, you know, leave my family in Pittsburgh or bring them back to Baltimore. So it was a lot of things. And then, like I said, I bounced around the CBA, and I just got discouraged. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew that a lot of guys who made it at that time, because you got to remember back then there were 17 rounds.
Whoa, no, I ain't know that.
Yeah, it was 17 rounds back then when the NBA draft. And, you know, I was projected, from what I was told, I was projected as one of the best guards in the East, East Coast. And I'm like, well, when I didn't hear my name called, I was like really, you know, kind of disappointed. Yeah, disappointed, you know what I'm saying? And then when I saw the guys that got drafted before me, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I used to tear the fur off this guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And case in point, the guy he was a first rounder for the Philadelphia 76ers named Franklin Edwards. And he played for Cleveland State. And I used to cook him all day, every day. And I'm saying to myself, how did he get drafted? You know what I mean? But it's being at the right place in the right time. You know, I think that I had a pretty good career. And now, you know, I coach. So I've been coaching for 20 years.
Don't think. You had a great career. You had a great career on all levels. You know what I'm saying? So
Thank you.
Yeah, you can't. Don't poo-poo that. Please don't poo-poo that. Now,
right.
You were just about to go into the coaching. I want you to tell the people where you coaching at. You know what I'm saying? And you got the platform right now. What you looking? If you even looking for some kids, just talk to the people.
Oh, absolutely, all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, it's a school with different criterias. You know, you got to have a portfolio. You have to do an audition. You also have to do an exam, whatever case may be. And I'm not saying that the kids can't do it.
Right.
But it's in Baltimore County. It's called Carver Tech. Carver Center for short. but it's George Washington Carver Arts and Technology.
Okay.
You know, and it's a funny story because, you know, when I got there, you know, always people were telling me, man, you're not going to win there. You know, you're not going to win. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, I can, like I said, went to Pitt, build that program, helped build that program. Now I got another, you know, transition to build this program.
Right.
I've been there, going on my 14th year now.
Ooh.
You know, it's located right behind the Five Guys off of York Road.
Okay.
Got great students, great kids. And to note, all my kids that play for me graduate and go to college.
That right there. That right
you know,
there.
So yeah, so that's a blessing that I'm able to coach kids who, you know, that want to listen, you know, and believe me or not, they're not ball players because these kids, I'm gonna say they're not ball players. I mean, I'm saying that they want to be ball players, but they don't know the fine tune of what it takes to do the intangibles.
Right.
You know, and what I try to teach them first and foremost that I don't think is being taught a lot is the fundamentals. You know, because the fundamentals will definitely, and with your talent, will definitely get you where you need to be. You know, so having said that, you know, I started out coaching in the city. I coached at Al Efert with him at Carver.
Okay.
As a JV coach and his assistant. I went from there from the old Warble was called IBE. Went there with Miss Tina Queen. Okay. Right. Great AD. And then from there, went to Forest Park.
Okay.
Okay. And when I interviewed for the job at Carver, you know, I guess I must have did a great job, but they hired me. Yeah. And I've been there ever since. You know, don't plan on going anywhere. You know, I have a grandson who's definitely going to be a beast in high school. You know, he plays 3 sports.
Okay.
You know,
what sports do he play?
He plays basketball, football, and baseball. Okay. And he's going to be one heck of a player. You know, if he does the things what he needs to do. So, you know, with that being said, you know, I also have another grandson who does the fencing. Whoa. He's pretty good in that. So you know, the thing is that you know, I love what I do. You know, I'm committed to it. You know, I was kind of sad that because of the pandemic that we wasn't able to play this year. Because I had one kid I thought that could play at least Division III, but it just didn't materialize. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, this coming year. And I would say this, whenever we played a team, you know, whenever we would play a team, because I'll play anybody. You know, my first couple of years I got there, we played Dunbar because that's something I wanted the guys to get experience. Okay. Right. But, you know, when teams come into Dunbar and they see all them banners, that's intimidating. Yes. You know, and but I wanted them to understand that in order for me to build a team, I got to play the top teams. Yeah. Right. And so I know nowadays that a lot of kids don't want to go to Dunbar. They want to play against Dunbar. Right. You know, so if any kids want to come to my school, you know, I welcome that. You know, but the thing is, they must have their grades together. You know, I can work with any kid. You know, I think that you know, it's all about the approach. Okay. You know, all about the approach. You know, you don't want to go. See, sometimes I think nowadays, you know, kids want to stack a team up. You know, hey,
well, the parents want to stack a team up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But when a kid don't play, then the parents want to transfer him. Right. Right. You know, and so I always tell kids like this: if you can play, and you come to my school, you get all the 32 minutes you want. As long as you don't foul out. But you have to have a commitment, you have to have the discipline, and you have to have wherewithal in order to be coach. Yeah. Because I don't want nobody that can't coach. Talk to him. You know, I definitely don't want nobody that can't coach. You know what I'm saying? I think I know the game pretty well. You know, and you have to think the game because I can think what you're going to do before you do it.
Okay, now from a parent, they gonna say, all right, how you gonna help my son get into a school?
Well, first and foremost, you have to win. Because winning cures everything. You know, if you, for instance, since I'm out in Baltimore County, right? If you beat the Delaney's, the Milford Mills, the Newtowns, because they're the schools that the scouts are coming to. Right. And so if you go out there and perform, even say for instance, even if you don't win, but if you go out there and perform, right, play team ball, there's a possibility you can get an opportunity to go to college. You know, obviously, yes, I'll do my part, but you have to do your part too.
Facts.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, because what kids don't understand is that when scouts come to recruit you or looking at you, they want to see your body language. You know, they want to see, you know, are you coachable? You know, but more importantly, they want to know if you got grades to get into the university.
Facts. Now look, before we get up off of here, is there anything you like? Because this was fun, and I need you back on here. Right?
Okay.
I want to do a panel, right? I want to do a panel of the guys that played in the 70s and the early 80s. You know what I'm saying? It's something so y'all could come on here and y'all could just, you know, talk, bump stuff off each other. You know, a lot of times I did it with the football, and I'm gonna do it again once football season start. But you hear the coaches, it's like they ain't talked to each other in a while. Players ain't seen each other in a while, and it just, you know, just we're a community. You know what I'm saying? And
absolutely,
just try and tighten things up, because there's some kids out there that's gonna go through the same thing we went through. And my whole thing, I don't want kids to feel like they by themselves when they gotta make these decisions. Because a lot of times when we young, when we especially back then, we young, we making grown up decisions, and sometimes they ain't the right decision. Instead of just asking or just saying one thing, like, you know, you ain't by yourself. You know what I mean? Just like you was talking about, you was like being patient. Some kids think they go to college and think they pull the play right away. And then, no, I'm a transfer. Or they're not even using a rational, they're not even being rational about their decision. They feelings hurt because they not playing instead of just sticking around or talking to somebody that can explain how the next level work, you know? So yeah, that's hopefully that's what I want the kids to get out of this. Like, you ain't by yourself, because sometimes we make one decision and that carries on to a bunch of other bad decisions. So,
absolutely. I mean, the thing is that, and plus they got too many people in their ear. You know, I mean, tell them how great they are, this, that, and the other. And I always tell my kids, if you're gonna listen to them, go play for them. You know, and see where that gets you. Because the thing about it, right, you want to be able to surround yourself with some positive people. I'm not saying they're not positive, but everybody has their own agenda, right? And so with me, you know, my agenda is to nurture this young man and teach him how to be a young man to a man, because everybody's not going to make it an NBA, NFL, or